Well, it turns out we don't have to wait until next month at the big motorcycle shows to see the 2025 KTM 390 Adventure R. It has just been raced in KTM's Adventure Rally in the United States. KTM haven't confirmed any specifications, but we've got some really decent close-up photographs to go over. So we're going to go over what we can see and how promising is this bike going to be and my general opinion of the bike. So let's just jump straight in. The very first thing that sticks out to me with this bike is it looks very clean, very polished. I actually like the look of this bike. I'm not saying it's the sexiest bike on the planet, but compared to the current 390 Adventure, in my opinion, this is a big step forward in looking far more purposeful and really like a proper rally bike in my opinion. So I like the look, it's very encouraging. It looks ready for proper off-road use. The first one is the fully adjustable WP front forks. The rear shock as well is also a WP monoshock. Some sites are actually claiming that this will also be adjustable. I would presume that there'll be at minimum preload adjustment, but I do hope that there will be additional adjustability, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it as well because we know WP generally brings the goods. Next up, connected to that suspension, of course, to my eye, that looks like a 21-inch front spoke wheel and an 18-inch spoke rear wheel. That is the dream setup for anyone going off-road in a proper way. So I'm really happy to see that on the bike. If they do discontinue the old 390 Adventure, I do hope that they bring out a 1917 version, because there are a lot of people that will also use this bike for less hardcore riding and more of the adventure tour setup in a very lightweight and affordable package. So I think KTM would really be smart to offer both wheel sizes, but personally I love to see the 2118 wheel setup. The high front mudguard also stands out in off-road, but if you're going through deep mud, you're really clogging up that front wheel, getting wet and wild, then a high front mudguard is an absolute must. It also allows you to fit really aggressive off-road tires, whereas a low front mudguard might restrict your tire choices as well in some situations. So love to see the high front mudguard and no fake low mudguard all in black hiding closer to the wheel. This bike also looks really slim. Of course, that could just be the angle of the photos. Much slimmer to my eye than the current 390 Adventure, which I have ridden and reviewed. So that is also a real positive. If it's skinnier, it's going to feel much more like a rally bike or a dual sport. And I really hope that the foot peg position is also going to be addressed. This clearly also has taller bars. It even looks like they might have some small risers in there as well. That looks like a very commanding up high position. You've got that nice big rally screen, which is going to serve you so well on those long rides, particularly out on the open highway. And I think that is going to be a major selling point for a lot of people over a dual sport, is just the fact that this has a fairing and has that extra comfort. And when you couple that with a single cylinder 399cc engine that's pumping out roughly 45 horsepower and 40 newton meters of torque, that's going to be a real sweet spot for a lot of people. This also clearly has an underslung exhaust. They haven't high routed that exhaust, which is going to pose a little bit of a problem if you really like to ride hard off-road. But I think for most people getting this bike, you're not going to be doing huge log crossings or creeping over massive boulders. Although if you do frequent water crossings and you happen to stall it, it may pose more of an issue than a higher slung exhaust that might keep out of the water a little easier. And the other one that is going to be the elephant in the room that we just don't know yet, we've still got to wait a few more weeks, is that weight. It's based off a road bike, it's based off the Duke 390. It's going to have Duke 390 weight. So I think personally this bike is going to be in the 170 kilos. It could go either way of that. Perhaps KTM could pull some wizardry and get it into the high 160s, or maybe they might get lazy and it could be in the 180 kilo mark. If they do hit the mid 170s or even the low 170s, this will be a very capable and manageable machine for most people. Would I like to see it around the same weight as the 690? You bet. I think it's realistic to assume that this will be around the high 170 kilogram mark. My guess is around 175 to 177 kilograms. And does that ruin the motorcycle for some people? I think for the absolute maximum weight weenies out there that want the lightest bike, it's definitely going to be a problem. But this isn't a bike for that person. This is a bike for the person who wants an affordable machine that can do a little bit of everything, that is adventure touring, commute during the week, but also keep up with skinnier dual sports in a lot of off-road riding situations. And I think this bike will certainly be capable of all those things. 170 odd kilos, call it 180 kilos, is far harder to manage than say my 140 kilo CRF 300L. It certainly is going to be far better than a middleweight adventure bike that's north of 200 kilos, or even the CF Moto 450 MT that I recently rode, or the Himalayan 450, both of which are in the mid 190 kilos. This still has a massive advantage over the competition. So I think it's actually a strength that it weighs what it does, not a handicap at this point. It is, after all, an adventure bike, not a dual sport. The other thing I'd really like to know as well is whether this subframe is welded to the frame or whether it's removable like it was my WR250R. I'm more excited than ever to see this bike. I think it really looks promising. It's not going to be the answer to everyone's off-road needs, but I think this is going to be a very popular machine that really addresses a lot of the criticisms of the current model that's on the showroom floor. And it couldn't come at a more important time for them with the backdrop of their problems, with the early camware problems on their LC8C. On top of that, the financial problems that they're currently going through. But I've seen a lot of people criticizing this particular bike, saying it's just going to be as unreliable. And I really think that is a little misguided, not only because this is from KTM India, this is produced by Bajaj. The 390 Adventure in its current iteration is a fairly reliable little machine, as is the current 399cc Duke that's already been out for a little while. So this engine is a known quantity, so I don't see a reason why this will be unreliable. I'd also love to know your thoughts, not only on what you can see in those photos, as often your eagle eyes spot stuff that I've missed, but I'd love to know whether this is a bike you're excited for or whether you are disappointed given the features I've listed. So chuck your thoughts down below. And my only questions about this bike is, what is the weight and how much is it going to cost? That we'll have to wait until the second week of November to answer, but you bet that I'll make a video about it and let you know as soon as possible. But until then, don't forget to stay shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next one.